There's a hot dog in America that costs $1.50. It cost $1.50 in 1985. It still costs $1.50 today. 40 years, 2 recessions, a pandemic, and inflation that should have pushed it to about $4.50, and Costco has not moved the price by a single cent. They sell over 100 million of them a year, and they lose money on every single one. Now, when a company loses money on purpose, 100 million times a year for 40 straight years, that's not stubbornness. That's not nostalgia. That's a strategy. And once you understand what that hot dog is actually doing, you realize something strange. Costco isn't really a store. The shelves, the pallets, the giant tubs of mayonnaise, all of that is the decoy. The real business is something else entirely, and it's been hiding at the front door the whole time. I'm Max. I've got no face, no job, and a detective hat I still refuse to take off. Last time we found out McDonald's isn't really a restaurant. Today we're cracking a warehouse. Let's follow the money. Let's start where every good detective starts. The money. Costco takes in a genuinely absurd amount of revenue, well over $200 billion a year. Mountains of it. And here's the thing that stops you cold when you look at the actual books. Almost none of the profit comes from selling you stuff. The membership fees, the $65 you hand over at the door, are only about 2% of Costco's total revenue. A rounding error, a crumb. But those fees account for the overwhelming majority of the company's actual operating profit. Depending on the year, we're talking somewhere in the range of half to nearly 3/4 of it. Recent years have run around 70%. Read that again because it's genuinely bizarre. 2% of the money coming in produces most of the money they keep. So what's the other 98% doing? It's essentially paying the bills. All those billions in groceries and TVs and 40-pound bags of rice after Costco pays for the products, the buildings, the electricity, and some of the best retail wages in the country. That colossal river of sales roughly breaks even. It covers the cost of running the machine. Maya reasonably said, "So they're bad at selling things?" No, they're extraordinary at it. They're just not trying to make their money there. Here's the policy that makes it official, and it's the kind of rule that sounds insane until you see the whole picture. Costco caps its markup. On most items, they will not mark a product up more than about 14%, and on their own Kirkland brand, roughly 15%. Their average markup across the store runs around 11%. For context, a typical supermarket runs markups in the 25 to 50% range. Department stores go far higher. Costco has drawn a hard line and said, "We will not charge you more than this," even when we easily could. Most retailers would call that leaving money on the table. Costco calls it the business model. Because every dollar they don't take in markup is a dollar of value handed to the member, and the member is the actual product. Here's the reveal, and it's beautifully simple once you see it. Costco isn't selling groceries, it's selling a membership. Everything inside the warehouse exists to make you renew it. The store isn't the business, the store is the reason to renew. Costco has essentially built a subscription company and disguised it as a warehouse. You don't pay them for products. You pay them $65 a year for access to their prices. The products are just how they prove the price is worth paying for. And now go back to that hot dog. Once you see Costco as a subscription business, the $1.50 hot dog transforms from a quirky legend into one of the smartest marketing instruments in retail. The co-founder, Jim Sinegal, was reportedly told by an executive that they should raise the price. His answer has become company folklore. "If you raise the effing hot dog, I will kill you. Figure it out." And they figured it out. Here's why he was right. The hot dog does 3 jobs at once. 1, it sets your price expectations. When you see something impossibly cheap and visible, you assume that same discipline runs through the whole warehouse. If they're not gouging you on a hot dog, you subconsciously trust they're not gouging you on the $1,000 TV either. That's a halo, and it covers the entire store. 2, it proves commitment. Anybody can run a sale. Holding a price flat for 40 years while losing money on it says something a coupon never could. We will lose money to keep our promise to you. That's not an ad. That's evidence. 3, and this is the real trick, it makes the membership fee feel like a bargain. Every time you buy a $1.50 hot dog that should cost $4.50, your brain quietly logs a win. Same with the $4.99 rotisserie chicken, which Costco has admitted costs them somewhere in the range of $30 to $40 million a year to keep at that price. Every one of those little wins is a payment against the $65 you already spent. Racking up enough of them and renewing them next year isn't a decision, it's obvious. Notice the placement too, because it's not accidental. The food court sits by the exit, your reward on the way out, the last thing you feel before you leave. The rotisserie chickens sit deep in the back, so you have to walk past thousands of full-margin items to reach dinner. None of this is random, it's choreography. If Costco were really a store, the number executives obsess over would be sales. It isn't, it's the renewal rate. And their renewal rate is frankly ridiculous. Around 92% in the US and Canada, and about 90% worldwide. 9 out of 10 people re-up year after year. In the subscription world, that is an elite, almost unheard of number. They have roughly 81 million paying households, around 146 million cardholders. And the fastest growing slice is the executive tier, the more expensive membership, now about 40 million members, and those executive members drive around 3/4 of all Costco sales. Think about what that means as a business. That fee income arrives before anyone buys anything. It's predictable. It shows up whether it's a good sales month or a bad one. Whether inflation is up or down, it doesn't spoil, doesn't need shelf space, and doesn't have to be discounted. Sound familiar? It's the same shape as the McDonald's story. Rent still arrives. Membership fees still arrive. The visible business, burgers, groceries, is the attraction. The invisible business is where the money actually lives. Here's what makes this a fortress rather than a trick. Costco's model runs on a loop that reinforces itself. Members pay fees. Those fees are the profit, which means Costco doesn't need markup, which lets them keep prices brutally low, which makes membership feel worth it, which drives renewals, which funds the next round. Every part feeds the next. Now imagine a normal retailer trying to copy it. To match Costco's prices, they'd have to gut their markup, but markup is their entire profit. They'd be cutting off their own oxygen supply, and they'd have no membership income to replace it. You can't copy half of this system. The half you copy kills you. That's why they also do things that look bizarre from the outside and make perfect sense from the inside. They famously stock only a few thousand distinct products, where a supermarket carries tens of thousands. Fewer items means enormous bulk orders, which means better prices, which means more member value. They spend remarkably little on advertising because 92% renewal is the marketing. Even the high wages fit, lower turnover, better run warehouses, a better member experience, more renewals. Every strange decision points at the same target: keep the member. Because I don't do hype, let me be straight with you about the other side. This model is genuinely good for members. The value is real, not a mirage, but it's worth understanding what it does to your behavior. Once you've paid that fee, your brain wants to justify it. Psychologists call it sunk cost. Costco calls it Tuesday. You visit more often to get your money's worth, and the average Costco trip runs somewhere around $150, most of that in bulk goods you may not have walked in for. So the honest verdict? Costco is not scamming anyone. It's an unusually fair deal, and that fairness is precisely what makes the machine run. But the machine is running, the hot dog is delicious, and it is also doing a job. Both things are true, and knowing which is the difference between being a happy member and being a managed one. So let's close the case. Costco looks like a warehouse and behaves like a subscription service. About 2% of its revenue, the membership fee produces the large majority of its profit. The 11% markup cap, the $1.50 hot dog, the $4.99 chicken, the exit side food court, the tiny product range, the high wages, every single one of those exists to protect a 92% renewal rate. The groceries were never the business. They're the reason you renew, and here's the pattern worth carrying with you. McDonald's, the burgers get you to the land. Costco, the products get you membership. In both cases, the thing you see is the attraction, and the thing that pays is quietly behind it. So here's your move today. Look at your own subscriptions, the ones auto-renewing quietly in the background right now. For each one, ask the Costco question: am I renewing because I'm genuinely getting value, or because I already paid and want to justify it? One of those is a good deal. The other is a business model working on you. Then come back and comment renewal so I know you actually checked. And if this cracked open how you see that warehouse, subscribe, because we've got Apple, Disney, Amazon, and Starbucks still in the case file, and every single one of them is selling something other than what's on the label. Because the question is never, what does this company sell? The question is, what business are they really in? Until next time, stay curious.